My husband is in love with his student. I have no fucking idea what to do. My husband and I, both currently 35, met in college. We fell in love and got married 8 years ago. In 2020, we welcomed our daughter into the world. My husband is a professor at a medical school, and he's also a doctor. One of my closest friends, Sarah, works at the same college in the same department as my husband. A few months ago, in December, Sarah and I went out for lunch. Over the meal, she confided in me that she suspected something was going on between my husband and one of his students, a 25-year-old woman. Sarah claimed she had seen them exchange what she described as yearning looks. She insisted that she had never seen my husband behave this way with any other woman. According to Sarah, he had always been distant and aloof around women, but something was different with this particular student. At that moment, I couldn't help but laugh. I told Sarah she was jumping to conclusions based on these supposed yearning looks. That's why I didn't tell you before, she said. I was confused too. It's not like he goes out of his way to talk to her, but whenever they do talk, it's like watching a slow-burn romance movie. She looks at him like he's Brad Pitt, and he looks at her the way he used to look at you. Her words stung. Internally, I was breaking down, but externally, I just smiled and assured her that she was probably overthinking. That night, I casually brought up the conversation with my husband. I was laughing at the absurdity of it all and expected him to join in and deny the wild possibility that he was in love with a student. But instead of laughing, he looked at me with tear-filled eyes and said, "I'm sorry, I can't get her out of my mind," he confessed. "I've tried, trust me. I should have told you sooner. But I thought I could save our relationship. I really wanted to." I was in shock. I asked him if he had cheated on me. He said no. He explained that he hadn't even talked to her outside of necessary academic interactions, and they had no contact outside of college. He understood the ethical and moral implications of pursuing a relationship with a student. About a year ago, she wrote him a letter confessing her love for him. He had told her that although he had feelings for her, nothing could come of it. Apparently, that was when the yearning look started. I don't clearly remember how I reacted. I think I just started packing and moved in with my parents, taking our daughter with me. Since then, I've been living with my parents. Half of me wanted him to come and beg for forgiveness, but he never did. He visits sometimes to spend time with our daughter, but we never discuss the situation. The elephant in the room remains unaddressed. I find myself obsessively checking that girl's social media. She's stunningly beautiful, almost doll-like, and incredibly intelligent. I can't help but think that someone like him should be with someone like her. He's always been very attractive, whereas I've always felt like a plain Jane. She seems like the Meredith to his Derek. I'm lost and don't know what to do. What do I tell people? I feel like I don't even know who I am without him. A part of me still wants him to come back and make things right. Moss Valley, so he didn't actually cheat. He has a crush. If I'm understanding that right, he hasn't betrayed you yet. Crushes sometimes happen, that doesn't mean the relationship is over. Get therapy with him. OOP. I mean, cheating for me isn't just physical. He's had crushes in the past, and I've had crushes in the past, but we'd always been upfront and then laughed about it. This one feels like a betrayal because he was attracted to someone for more than a year. This someone gave him a freaking love letter. He told her that he's attracted to her, and not once did he mention it to me. That's a huge breach of trust for me, and I don't think I can look past it. OOP added more about her friend Sarah and what she observed. I know. He said he entirely stopped interacting with her after the letter incident. It does seem absurd, but even my friend Sarah corroborated this. She said he never went out of his way to talk to her before and then almost entirely stopped talking to her. Given that Sarah and he are in the same department 24/7 and that she noticed something as small as them giving each other looks, I'm sure she would have noticed anything out of the ordinary. I've had access to his phone and his passwords throughout, and he wasn't texting or calling her either. That's why this feels weird, lol. Update 2 days later. For those who don't want to read the boring details, in short, I have decided to go ahead with the divorce. Long story. The day I made the post, I met up with Sarah for dinner. I thanked her for telling me about my husband and the student, and for being such a good friend. Her support has been invaluable during this confusing and painful time. Over dinner, I asked her more about my husband's recent behavior. She said there was nothing unusual apart from him being a bit withdrawn and aloof with everyone lately. Yesterday, I went over to my house unannounced. He was there alone in his office, looking more tired and troubled than ever. I told him I wanted to talk, and he immediately said he would explain everything. He began by recounting the timeline of his interactions with the student. Apparently, this woman had a crush on him for the past 2 years. Her friends would ship her with him, and she would stare at him during her rotations, blushing whenever he looked or talked to her. Initially, he didn't think much of it since many students had had crushes on him over the years, which he always ignored. About 1.5 years ago, they were part of the same research group, which included 5 to 6 other people. Because of this, they had to spend some time working together. It was then that he started noticing her more. He went into detail about how he was impressed with her intelligence and her beauty. The moment he realized he had a crush on her, he dropped out of the research group to avoid further temptation. This was 1 year ago. A few weeks later, she gave him a letter confessing her feelings. The first thing he told her after reading it was, "You can get into trouble because of this." She didn't care and wanted an answer. "Is it all in my head?" she asked. He replied, "It's not just in your head, but nothing can come out of it. I hope you understand." According to him, that was the last time they interacted. He claimed the yearning look Sarah described were more like awkward eye contacts than anything else. He assured me that even though he still found her attractive, he had no intention of pursuing any relationship with her, regardless of whether we stayed together or not. He said he was willing to change his job and go to therapy to make things right. I listened to him, feeling a mix of emotions. He sounded sincere, and I could see he was genuinely remorseful. But the trust had been broken, and I didn't know if I could ever look at him the same way again. I told him I needed some time to think about everything. That night, I went back to my parents' house and stayed up thinking about our conversation. I realized that while he might not have physically cheated, the emotional betrayal was just as painful. He had harbored feelings for another woman for over 1 year and kept it a secret from me. I thought about the future and what it would be like to constantly worry about him developing feelings for someone else again. The trust we once had felt irreparably damaged. Final decision. After a lot of soul-searching, I have decided to go ahead with the divorce. It's not a decision I made lightly, but I believe it's the best course of action for both of us. I deserve to be with someone who I can trust completely, and he needs to figure out his own feelings and issues without the pressure of our marriage. I've already contacted a lawyer to start the process. It's going to be a difficult journey, but I believe it's the right one. I need to focus on myself and my daughter, rebuilding my life and finding happiness again. My husband and I will always be connected through our daughter, but our romantic relationship has come to an end. Sarah has been incredibly supportive, and I'm grateful to have her by my side during this tough time. I also appreciate the support and advice from everyone who commented on my post. Your words helped me find the strength to make this difficult decision. This is not the end I envisioned for my marriage, but it's a new beginning for me. I'm hopeful for the future and ready to embrace whatever comes next. OOP continues. After deciding to confront my husband, I went over to our house. The moment I stepped inside, memories of our life together overwhelmed me. The pictures on the walls, the little knickknacks we collected over the years, all of it made me question if I was making the right decision. But I knew I had to face this head-on. When he saw me, his eyes widened with a mix of surprise and apprehension. We sat down, and I took a deep breath before starting. "We need to talk about what happened, about everything." He nodded, looking down at his hands. "I know." I started by expressing how I felt betrayed, not just by his feelings for another woman, but by the secrecy and the emotional connection he had with her. "You should have told me the moment you realized you had feelings for her. We promised to be honest with each other, no matter what." He looked up, tears welling in his eyes. I was scared. I didn't want to lose you or our family. I thought if I just ignored it, it would go away. But it didn't, I replied softly. And now we're here. He nodded. You're right. I should have been honest with you. I should have told you about the letter and my feelings. I'm so sorry for the pain I've caused you. I felt a surge of anger mixed with sadness. Do you still have feelings for her? He shook his head. No. I stopped interacting with her completely after the letter. I realized how wrong it was and tried to focus on us, but the damage was already done. We talked for hours, airing out our feelings and fears. He suggested couples therapy, saying he was willing to do whatever it took to rebuild the trust we had lost. I agreed, knowing that if we were to move forward, we needed professional help to navigate this complicated situation. Update: it's been a few weeks since our talk, and we've started therapy. It's been a roller coaster of emotions, but I feel like we're making progress. We're learning to communicate better and understand each other's perspectives. It's not easy, and some days are harder than others, but I'm hopeful that we can come out of this stronger. Sarah has been a great support throughout this. She apologized for bringing it up in the way she did, but I'm grateful she did. It forced us to confront an issue that could have festered and grown worse over time. As for the student, she graduated and moved away. I still check her social media occasionally, but I'm trying to let go of that habit. It's a process, but I'm focusing more on healing and rebuilding my life with my husband and daughter. I don't know what the future holds, but for now, we're taking it one day at a time, working towards a better, stronger relationship. Edit: after reading all the responses, I've decided it's time to face this issue head-on. I've been avoiding it for months, but I know I need to talk to him. I'm going over to our house to have the conversation we should have had a long time ago. I'll update on what happens. TLDR, my husband admitted he's in love with a young woman who is also his student, and she loves him too. To sum up, this situation has been unfolding for the past 3 years, and not once did he mention anything to me. Here are the key points. 3 years of secrecy. My husband has harbored feelings for this student for 3 years without ever mentioning it to me. Significant time together. Last year, they spent a considerable amount of time together working on a research project. This close proximity only fueled their attraction. Mutual attraction. When the student confessed her feelings in a letter, he told her he liked her back. This mutual attraction, even though it wasn't acted upon physically, is a significant betrayal to me. Ongoing attraction. Even now, he admits he's still very much attracted to her. This lingering attraction makes it impossible for me to trust him again. Final decision. Given these points, I've decided to go ahead with the divorce. Trust is the foundation of any relationship, and without it, I don't see a future for us. I've informed my parents about my decision. While they're not entirely on board, they're supportive of my choice. I've also contacted a lawyer to begin the divorce proceedings. It's going to be a long and challenging process, but I believe it's necessary for my well-being and peace of mind. Closing. That's it. I believe this will be my last update. I'm moving forward with my life, focusing on myself and my daughter. Thank you to everyone who provided support and advice. TLDR, my husband is still attracted to his student. I can't trust him again, so we're getting a divorce. Relevant comments. It's a crush. He is not in love. That doesn't matter. He crossed a line he shouldn't have by telling her he likes her. Literally, I can't believe these comments. He's gushing about her beauty and intelligence. He told her the feeling was mutual. He could have easily denied it to her and then kept his distance, but he liked the attention. I mean, to be fair to him, he wasn't exactly gushing about her. I kept asking, and he kept answering. The deal breaker for me was him telling her the feeling is mutual. LMAO, these dumbass comments saying, "You're too hasty, it's a crush, chill." Like, shut up. The man literally said, I can't get her out of my head. If he was committed to his wife, he would have proactively changed jobs, not wait until now. He let it develop to a point where he can't take his mind off her, and y'all are saying it's no big deal. You obviously never had a real relationship. He said he didn't change his job earlier because, quote, I'm a doctor, and there are people counting on me. I couldn't just walk out on them one day. Right now, he's saying he's willing to change his job if that's what it takes to make you stay. I can't get over my ex-husband being in love with his student. It's eating me up inside. July 21, 2024, 3 months later. For context, my ex-husband is a doctor, and he was in love with his student for years. She was into him too and even wrote him a love letter. When I confronted him, he told me it was just a crush and that he put a stop to it as soon as he could, insisting that nothing physical ever happened. But the damage was already done. You can read the posts on my account for more details, but that's the gist of it. I decided to take our daughter and permanently move to my parents' house. We're currently in the process of separating. A lot of people have told me to forgive him, and I've debated myself whether I'm taking the correct step or not, but the trust is gone, and I don't think I want to be in a relationship with someone like him. It's taking a lot of strength to go through this. I've lost all my self-esteem. The fact is, I was always insecure about how my ex was way out of my league, how I was lucky to have him, and how people often said he could have done so much better. Over the years, my insecurities had disappeared, but now they're all back. He's attracted to someone so beautiful and incredibly intelligent, and she's obviously into him too. I keep looking at her social media all the time, obsessing over her. There was an Instagram story she uploaded where she was with my ex-husband and a few others, and it felt like someone stabbed me in the heart. He looked happy, happier than he'd looked in years. I got tired of feeling pathetic and even complained to the hospital management about the inappropriate relationship between her and my ex. All I got in response was that they can't take any steps without concrete proof. Now my sad self wants to snitch about her to her parents, to get her in trouble, to make her suffer. I know this is unhealthy. I'm in therapy, but I don't feel like I'm healing. I hate that I have to be sad and heartbroken over that man while he doesn't seem to care. He stopped coming to visit our daughter too. I wish he would have cared. I wish he would have fought for me. I wish he wouldn't have tossed aside our decade-long relationship for her. I hate this. I hate everything.